And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. The Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. The Vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because we can't get together in person, and that suits us just perfectly fine. And nothing's changed. Everything's just status normal. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Part of this is to follow through with the old adage, sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble pretty much everywhere. You can find me under that name, Shujin. Howdy. Good to be back. Let me go ahead and introduce you to everybody because, we're going to have fun talking about stuff as usual. Again, I'll tell you about that in a couple moments. Top left-hand corner of the bingo card of North America, just outside, just a 4-hour drive outside of Viking, Alberta, where it's a balmy. Let me double check that. I saw it at negative 18 Celsius, which, by the way, Yellowknife is currently at minus 12. And Viking, Alberta, home to Burger Queen. So congratulations out there, guys. Hi, Dallin. How you doing?
Good.
You didn't know about Burger Queen, did you?
I did not know about Burger Queen.
So I'm having
Hey, if you have a lot of bad gas after eating from there, do you end up getting burger queef?
You might, but if you do, you obviously don't understand about biology. Just down and to the right, into the Midwest of the U.S., speaking of biology, Brigid, good evening.
Good evening.
Moving a little bit further over to your right-hand side into Ohio, Joey, good morning.
Yeah, no, I mean, technically.
Yeah, technically correct is still correct.
I don't know if it's so good when there's snow on the ground, but...
Could be worse. Could be worse. A little bit further over towards the water, Unrenode Tech, good morning.
Hello. Does anybody else find it ironic that the head Cheeto in charge may have contracted something that started in China, it was named by somebody with Mexican descent, and was possibly transmitted by somebody from another country?
You know what? We could get Alanis Morissette on the phone. Could ask her. I don't think it'll work. And back from a longer hiatus than we would have liked because, just tired and shit, from Paris, France. Good morning, Joseph. Welcome back.
Well, good morning.
It's good to have you.
Just getting accustomed to the new job schedule.
No, perfectly understandable. With everything, don't sweat it, man. So yes, we're all back. We got the band back together again, and I'm about to piss off a good portion of the band because, you remember how I keep talking about my 79-cent specials that I get to try out stuff? Well, last week I told Dallin off the air that last week it was my first Budweiser as a actual drinking adult. I can say that because, you're 8 years old, you're helping your dad build a shed out in the backyard, and, of course he's going to let you, take a swig before the town finds out about the shed and finds out that you don't have a building permit. Water under the bridge, which is basically the way I described the Budweiser last week. This week, I have...
Okay.
Canadian.
Wait, hold on. That's on sale?
Well, again, it was at the at the gas station on their "we want to get rid of the stuff" rack, and it had the 79-cent special on it, and it's like, you know what?
Well,
trust me, it can't be any much worse than the Budweiser was.
no, actually, it'll be better because last I heard, Molson does not use rice as part of the brewing process.
Yeah?
What?
Really?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
About Budweiser?
Yeah, and the thing, like instead of barley, they cut it with rice. A lot of craft beer makers laugh at that. They embrace it proudly. Apparently, it's their thing. It gives it such a light taste.
Well, this is a little bit darker.
I thought they gave it a light taste by adding water.
I find this interesting. I'm looking at the video on YouTube and I'm looking at the video in Discord, and in Discord, everything is mirrored, so all your words on your hat and the beer can are all backwards.
Yes, and that's so that everything goes out on YouTube looking correctly.
Gotcha.
Sorry. That's
No, don't be sorry. I just thought it was interesting.
yeah, it's weird. I don't get it myself, but I don't know. But I guess this is darker a bit. You know,
A little bit, yeah.
It's definitely darker than the Budweiser was. So I mean,
Generally, beer is something Canadians do, right?
generally speaking, yeah. So
Molson's lacks the bitterness that you get in a lot of craft beers because they've had decades to work on the recipe.
yeah, it definitely does not have the same twang I guess, that the Budweiser had, but it doesn't have any real discernible difference between the two for me.
My father's in his 70s. He said that
No.
the day after that the Budweiser horse was shot, the beer never tasted the same ever again.
Well, it's because it had new internals to go through. You know what?
No, and that's the thing.
He
find with
wasn't
a
the
lot
only
of-
one either.
Yeah, that's a lot what you'll find with commercial beers, though, Shujin, is that they are all pretty much the same.
Yeah, I'm kind of guessing. At least that's from. There are, of course, a couple of them where I've looked at it and said, you know what? Okay. I mean, there've been a couple that I've liked, tolerated. I mean, I could see tolerating this if I was trying to be nice, but I think I've had about as much as what I would really care.
Yeah, a beer like that. What I found, beers like that are best served on a very hot summer day, served teeth chatteringly cold
Yeah.
after you've been out doing stuff. Like, if you did up your yard or you did your,
No, I got you.
you went out to work or something. Cracking one of those open in the middle of July, it is refreshing. Middle of winter, not so much.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a beer drinker in the winter, but when we actually finally do get out of this, and if I can actually afford it, a few beers in the summer would be nice.
Yeah. Also, assuming that we've got travel restrictions don't continue on until that point, but that's a
pretty
whole
sure I
other
could
thing for
walk-
later.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can walk to my liquor store without whatever.
Listen,
By the way, I would just like to wish everybody a belated happy Pi Day because it's now Sunday. So.
that's true.
Well, it's
Yeah,
not quite
still-
a here.
Aha, same here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm sorry. I was trying to remember what is today right now. Oh yeah, it is the 15th. Oh, how many of us had to memorize it out to however many digits? 3.1415926, but that's the rounding part. And from what I understood, if you were to use pi out to, I believe it was 23 positions, you would be able to calculate the diameter, the radius, I forget which it was, of the universe within the size of one proton. So for those of you that memorized it out to 3.1415926, it's close enough for rock and roll radio at that point.
I just realized. So yesterday, for me, technically it's Pi Day, and the day after, the Ides of March.
Yep.
So it makes you wonder: did Caesar have some pie before they perforated him like a teabag?
I was looking to try to come up with some kind of a joke, but I got nothing.
Kind of fell down.
No, I just can't come up with anything off the top of my head. I don't know. I almost had Caesar salad tonight, so I guess that doesn't quite count. Best I could come up with. Anyway.
Caesar salad actually originated in Mexico.
It's
a Mexican dish.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. It wasn't named after Caesar. It was named after Caesar.
Right. So every time, every time a bigot eats a Caesar salad over at
Anywhere.
what's that? Yeah, Olive Garden or any other place for that matter. I laughed my ass off.
I don't want to go to anyway.
Just like every time I see a Levitican at the Red Lobster.
With that in mind,
Yes.
let me go ahead and get everything rolling over here because, as normal, we gotta kind of wonder what the hell's going on. So, of course, thank you for being with us. If you are with us live, you can, of course, always take advantage of the live chat, which is actually on the opposite side of my screen because I didn't disconnect it from my browser this time. Whatever, shut up. Right now, there is nobody there, which, considering that, daylight savings time has changed our actual UTC time, whoopee frickin' ding, yay. Maybe we'll have that changed eventually. I know, I'm sorry. It is what it is. So, we're working from here. So, let me get everything rolling. So, with 5 minutes on the clock, excuse me, your 5-minute freestyle starts right now. Satai, no, it's not an English word. It's not, technically, it's not any word here on Earth. Satai, in this particular case, I'm actually borrowing this from a wonderful gentleman that I would love to get on with us one of these days. One of these days I may actually ask. I mean, I've got nothing to hurt by asking. A one Mr. J. Michael Straczynski. You might recognize the name, you might not. Mm-hmm. J. Michael Straczynski has done a lot of writing over the years. A lot of writing, including various items for, comic books. But you might remember him very preeminently for a little TV series called Babylon 5. That's where I took inspiration from this time. Satai is the title for those people from the Minbari race who were part of the Grey Council. And one of the things, and I should have written it down, I didn't. We are the Grey. We walk between the light and the dark. That's where we are right now. With all the stuff that we're going to end up talking about tonight, with the concerns over, is this just a turbocharged flu? Is it basically a cold with a shiv in its side? Is it a pandemic that you've really got to worry about? Do we really crash the economy because we want to keep everybody safe and secure in their little personal bunkers and people selling out of everything off the shelf? You know what? Where we need to be is in the gray. We shouldn't be just blithely taking, every risk under the sun and just having our hubris lead our way. But we also don't necessarily need to be, slathering ourselves in Purell. Which, by the way, for the record, that stings. For those of you that didn't know about it ahead of time. There is a line that you can walk that is somewhere between the hubris of, I'm just going to go ahead and get infected and whatever. I mean, what do I have to worry about? And, staying bunkered up and taking advice from sources that are not exactly vetted yet. I had somebody earlier today who actually said, if you run a fireplace really hot in your house, it'll help destroy that virus. No, where did you get this from? I want a citation. Well, here's the news article. Yeah, did you read this article? Because all the stuff that you're talking about says that it's been basically unverified. It's not exactly published. It's not peer-reviewed. You're taking the word of something that's kind of not really what it says in the article and not proven by any stretch of the imagination. This is still an evolving item. This is something where it's going to get worse before it gets better. I was telling the guys earlier tonight, there is a video. There are several videos that are coming out of Italy, which some of them just warm my heart. People who are just out on their balconies, pulling out tambourines and accordions, and they're singing They're just singing for each other. And they're just joining in. But there is another one. And I don't speak Italian, unfortunately. But I speak enough Spanish to recognize numbers. And the gentleman showed a newspaper that was from, and forgive me, I don't remember if it was from last week or the previous day. I think it was last week. The obituary page was one page. I think, like I said, about a week later. And he's turning the pages. Uno, due, tre, quattro, cinco, cinco. He went to 10 pages of obituaries, full pages of obituaries. Is there something that could have been done earlier? Maybe. That's something that the history books will tell us later. But for right now, don't completely panic. We can walk the gray. We can be somewhere between the hubris of not caring and the worry about being in our bunkers. We'll be there with you. And we'll help you as best we can. It's episode 302 on the docket, Your Honor. It's not Mongonucleosis. I don't know if anybody looked up what Mongonucleosis is, and those of you that did, thank you. I like that a lot. So consider that for a password sometime, because ain't nobody going to be using it. It is not a dictionary word. Shouldn't be, but be that as it may, we'll talk about that later. Tonight's episode was really brought to us by the letters B, F, and the number bitch. Brigid basically got in touch with me and was just like, yeah, I want to do this because a pissed off Brigid is a talkative Brigid. And as far as I was concerned, no problem. Cool. And I was going to be in Toronto next weekend. And I was actually thinking maybe we hold off on that to make it easier if Dallin has to run next week's show, because then, it's all set. And the guys at the convention I would normally have gone to had to pull the plug because they were told to, basically by various government organizations, which completely understand. And that's something that's going to kind of filter into a lot of this stuff. So we've got that. By the way, Trippin', good to have you over there, and we'll see who else ends up joining you. Before I get on over to the horrible scopes with this all, I did go looking up information about Rafe Badawi. I have news. I don't like it, but I've got news. A combination of tweets, first off from late last month, which said, and I've mentioned about this one previous week, from the end of February. I'm very relieved to hear Rafe's voice. Still, the curtain short call left much unanswered, and I do not know why he cannot speak freely. My husband called me in the last week. His call did not exceed 1 minute 20 seconds. I am worried and believe that he is being observed, and he can't speak freely. The most recent update I have is from the 11th. I received the news that my husband, Rafe Badawi, had been transferred to hospital again. His health has deteriorated very badly, and we have not heard from him in 3 months. I assume that to mean that basically, the previous message, a minute 20 on the phone. Yeah, that I don't know that necessarily qualifies as a real phone call. The children and I are so worried about him. As are we. As of the recording of tonight's show, it has now been 7 years, 8 months, 28 days since Rafe was unjustly incarcerated for thought crimes. Our hopes and our thoughts are still with you and your family. We are still waiting. With that in mind, and actually to kind of go sideways to bring a little bit more levity back into it all, yes, I'm going to go ahead and have us do the horrible scopes for you all, because, well, it's starting to become a little bit of a thing, and I figured, you know what? what better opportunity to have a little bit of levity and to, get them views in the first couple of minutes of the show. So with a little bit to have us a little fun with, let me go ahead and get us started off. If you know your astrological signs, great, congratulations. You're part of the reason why I do this, because somebody's going to give us money for this. Aries, you claim to love the stars, but the only constellations you can find are the Big Dipper and Orion. All things considered, that's okay. Matter of fact, that's pretty good. It's just, we worry about you when you see the International Space Station and think it's a super slow-mo shooting star.
Taurus, you need to spend some time thinking about your future. Not like, I wonder when the horrible scopes are coming on, but more like, what do I want to do with my life? Your dream of being an extra in a Twisted Sister video just isn't going to cut it anymore. They called it quits in 2016. God, they lasted that long? Anyways, give it up.
Hey, their last studio album was a Christmas album. Screw you.
Hey, actually, D. Snyder is still going,
Yes.
and he's going about 300 miles an hour right now.
It's true.
Gemini, the feds want to talk to you about your surfing habits. Apparently, someone's called claiming to have seen Jimmy Carter, quote, curling tubes off the beaches, and your car was spotted nearby. Just so you know, bank robbing is still illegal. Just saying.
Cancer. Good looks and a charming personality can only get you so far in life. The fact that you've made it this far is a testament to your skill. Now, drop the act. We all know you're not just eye candy. You've got a brain in there. Somewhere. We're pretty sure.
Leo, give encouragement to the hopeless dregs that idolized you. You wanted more? Seriously? Man, we thought the stars were just screwing with us when that was all they had for you. But you know what? You're a self-absorbed bit of work. You're not going to help those poor saps that look up to you, are you?
Virgo, we're recording this horrible scope for you early because you need to know now. The prediction only applies to people in Castleford, United Kingdom, working at the Queen's Mill tea rooms on April 16th. The boss is plotting against you. He'll be showing up, and try to be a nice guy. Don't fall for it. Plan accordingly.
Yeah, the joke about that one, by the way, is I specifically wrote that for one of the gents that we know who lives in the UK and listens to the shows a lot. And the joke of it is, the boss in this case is Bruce Springsteen. He's actually going to be out there on tour, and that's where that joke goes. Unfortunately, he hasn't been around to hear the damn joke, so screw him. Pain in my ass. Libra, we've received word that someone actually took us at our suggestion and became a mortician. The good news is they're gainfully employed. The bad news is we're now under investigation for having made the suggestion to them. So all you other Libras who are in need of career advice, would you consider being a pro bono lawyer for us, please?
Scorpio, look, you're no athlete. Stop kidding yourself. Don't think you can outrun the police in the condition you're in now. Then again, considering the members have an average age of 70, maybe you can.
I'll give it a shot.
I fought the law and the...
That's a different group. And I felt so bad actually doing the math on that one, man.
Sagittarius. Those people telling you to get back on the horse are not giving you dating advice.
Ooh.
As an aside, did you know Greyhound Bus Lines has a very specific rules posted publicly in passenger terminals regarding frozen bull semen?
It's true. It's true.
Let's not get into New York laws either.
Joe?
right,
Oh, is it me?
No,
No,
Joe.
it's me. Capricorn. Next time someone thinks you have no bite, kick him in the shin. It'll hurt a lot. spin kick the back of their knee to drop them, then grab their hair and bite their scalp. If you did it right, they'll be screaming in surprise and panic with lots of blood falling into their face with a minimum of effort. Don't believe us? Just try it. It works a charm every time.
Or they'll think they're part of the zombie apocalypse, and you'll get your brain shot out.
Whatever works, man.
Aquarius, you went out of style in 1989. How many times did you think people would want to hear you singing Prince's song 1999? Isn't that what your whole issue has been this whole time? You keep looking back when you need to look forward? Pull up a picture of a flounder and be inspired. If you pick up pictures, if you end up with pictures of Stephen First, you Googled the wrong flounder.
Pisces, you've never been a Barbie or a Ken. You're more like a Russian nesting doll of secret identities. No, that doesn't mean you have layers like an onion or an ogre. You are not Mike Myers. You can't sing Smash Mouth songs worth a damn, and nobody wants to taste test that bell pepper flavored vodka.
And those are your horrible scopes for this week. And by the way, yes, bell pepper flavored vodka was a thing. Still is, to the best of my recollection. And yes, I tasted it. And yes, it's as horrible as you think it is.
Now, you might think, you might wonder, okay, is that quite possibly the strangest thing you've ever heard? Allow me to...
Allow Thor to retort.
Yes. Thank you. Allow me to retort. I purchased a bottle of vodka many years ago. Triple filtered, they said, which supposedly means it's good, with hemp in it.
Ew.
Okay.
Apparently, there was just enough of that stuff in it that they claimed that you'd never get a hangover from it. Now, to be fair, I never did get a hangover from it. The reason being, I couldn't drink more than one or 2 ounces of the stuff without wanting to puke, which means I could not get bombed on it because the stuff. Okay, this was the second triple filtered vodka I have drunk in my life, and both of them I could describe in 2 words: aqua velva.
Ew.
Because that is what it smelled like.
Ew.
Now, I can't say that's what it tasted like because I've never drunk aqua velva aftershave in my life.
Smelled it.
We hope.
No. I can safely say I have not even on a dare, not even out of desperation.
Fair enough.
See, this is how I know I've never been an alcoholic.
Fair enough. I'm sorry. I'm
leaving it at that.
I'm going to leave it at that. By the way, did see that Beth is over in there. Hey, hon, we miss you. We hope that you're doing all right. We'll see how long she lasts before she passes out. Trippin' had asked, hell, did they hire a necrophiliac? We can neither confirm nor deny the possibility that somebody had actually been hired that was a necrophiliac because of us. So, all you guys over there at Echelon, we're being very good people. There are a few people who actually know what I'm referring to, but it's only a handful. And all right, so here's the deal. We know that SARS-CoV-19 is around. We know that coronavirus is the symptoms and the effect that the virus has got on people. We know all that. We also know that this bullshit of calling it the Chinese COVID-19 virus, guys, it doesn't matter where the hell it started. It's going to start somewhere. It doesn't matter. It could start in Australia for all we know.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, reminds me.
Then they would have called it, they would have specified it as being, the Sydney flu or the insert city where you first heard of this damn thing flu.
Manly Harbor.
Yeah, I mean that's
That's
where it
it.
came from. That was the whole thing about the fact that it was known as the Wuhan flu, because at the
Yeah.
time that's all they knew. And you know the media, as soon as they can find anything, they will jump on it and try to market it any way they possibly can.
Yeah, true enough.
And to be honest, if you're getting okay, if you're getting tied up on what it's being called, you're fighting the wrong battle.
True that. True that. The we know full well that it has been categorized as a pandemic, and we need to make sure that everybody understands. Just because that title has been given to an illness does not mean that it's like the bubonic plague that's going around and killing damn near everybody that comes around to it.
No.
Fortunately. Is it deadly? Yes. So is inhaling water, and we need that to survive. Usually not that way, though.
Yeah. I actually just pulled up, this is from Service Canada, which is the government of Canada website, talking about COVID-19 and as far as the symptoms go. This is a direct quote, and I can always give you the link later. Those who are infected with COVID-19 may have little to no symptoms. You may not know you have symptoms of COVID-19 because they are similar to a cold or flu. Now, a lot of people have hung their hat on that particular statement. It's like, oh, it's just like the flu, or, oh, the flu is worse. Now, here are the symptoms that my government has listed, and there's only 4 so far. Symptoms have included, passive voice, you bastards, fever, cough, difficulty breathing, and this is the big one, pneumonia in both lungs. In severe cases, infection can lead to death. Now, another thing I've learned is that if you make it through it, like if you get it and you know, if you survive, there is a chance that you will suffer permanent lung damage, which means you could end up being on a ventilator for the rest of your life, or you may need assisted breathing. And trust me, for a guy like me, immunocompromised, and who's had a couple of run-ins with difficulty to breathe owing to bad life choices, this scares the hell out of me.
Yeah. A couple of things. Over in the chat, by the way, Beth had said they now think it started in Italy, or at least the same time. Possible. But, of course, the only way of knowing that is to try to trace it back genetically later, probably, if I remember correctly. Don't take science advice from a podcast that doesn't know jack shit about.
Yeah, I've also heard this one. You might find this one interesting. Apparently, there was a lab in Saskatchewan. I know, right away the credibility goes out the window. But bear with me here.
I'll go with you.
Yeah. How did this one go? Apparently, they were working on a treatment for SARS, and it sent their research to a sister lab in China or something like that, and that's kind of where the whole thing started. Which is interesting because I did catch an article not too long ago about the University of Saskatchewan, Royal University Hospital. These guys know their stuff, but apparently they were going full bore, like balls out, on finding a treatment, and apparently their first round is ready for animal testing.
Excellent.
If I can find the source, I will definitely get it to you for the show notes. But this is just something I caught in passing, and I thought, well,
maybe there is some kind of a link. Maybe
that's just it. When it was 2 + 2, but to be honest, the guy who told me this, I needed to check his ball cap to see if there was some tinfoil in there, because
fair enough.
Apparently he's got a not Not exactly Alex Jones, but within the 75th percentile, I would say.
Okay,
Mm.
that opens up the door to something that's I think we really should hit on. Alex fucking Jones. And I say that knowing full well that I might get copyright striked from Dave motherfucking Foda because it sounds very similar. So just go with me on this one a second. Brigid, you're ready at me, which means you know where I'm going right now, don't you?
And didn't he just recently get arrested for DUI?
He did.
Mm-hmm.
But above that, and
And
I posted this earlier,
doesn't he push these weird supplements and shit?
He's one of
Yeah.
them. There is also a very, very fun article where New York State's Attorney General has ended up telling a certain televangelist, stop peddling this crap that you
This
say
colloidal silver shit.
that's
Jim
supposed to.
Bakker.
There you go.
and
Yes.
Alex Jones. Apparently,
And
Jones did the
Alex
same
Jones.
thing.
Yeah.
So, as we know full well, sooner or later, the snake oil guys come out because they think they can make a buck.
Mm-hmm.
And the sad part of it is, they will and they have. Because you got the guys who've got the 5-gallon prepper buckets of food. And
But you're on back order, by the way.
oh, are they now?
They are.
Yeah,
The Patriot
now,
buckets
Yeah,
are.
the Patriot. No, okay, the Patriot
they
Supply
were.
one, though. Yeah, the Patriot Supply one is actually a little more legitimate than what Baker sells. I mean, Baker peddles it. It's the end of the world. You must buy my soup in order for you to survive. Patriot, I've actually had a look at it, and what it is that okay? Look, if you live in an area that is subject to, I don't know, tornadoes, hurricanes, or other disasters, which there are parts of the U.S. that are kind of rife with that.
Mm-hmm.
What this stuff is, it's freeze dried food. Like I think it was like 2 weeks for an 80 or a 2 week supply for $80.
2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean it's
Well,
just something.
if the average person spends $10 a day on food,
Yeah,
just save $20.
Yeah.
For something that's probably pretty shelf stable. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that seems, it's not great quality. It's not technically a scam. Like the Baker bucket is not technically a scam. It's long shelf life products that's going to raise your sodium count pretty freaking high. But then again, if you look at in our past history, World War I, World War II, how many things that we gave our own soldiers that had high sodium content as well, just because it preserved it. But the miracle cure stuff, which is nothing but bleach, that shit kills.
Yeah, Joe, just hold that thought 1 second, Joe. Over in the chat, Beth had made a listing of Jones, Baker. I'm working on Jillian, and I didn't remember who she was talking about.
yes.
But
The poop lady.
But yeah, Beth.
I don't remember the poop lady.
Poop lady, and I'm. Those of you who are watching probably saw me just effectively palm facing because all she had to do was put poop lady and okay, yeah, I oh god, how ignominious is it that somebody can say the poop lady and
And
people
you know
know
who
that it's you. Congratulations, Joey. Go right ahead now.
No, I was just gonna say the old adage, take your salt pill and walk it off.
Beth is saying, don't buy the Baker's buckets because they're, I'm paraphrasing here, because it's gross, like not edible gross. I believe that the Scathing Atheist, the team of the Scathing Atheists, they did a video where they were eating the various Baker bucket stuff. And they were talking about, it's a lot of it's granular. A lot of it doesn't have good taste. Some things taste like cardboard. Some things don't taste great at all. Some things they would never put in their mouth ever again. and it's a great it's a great one.
Yeah.
But it also goes back to there's a lot of things that are shelf stable that can give you nutrition that taste like oh.
Yeah. I did find the link to the My Patriot Supply, the one I was hearing about. So what they're offering is a 2-week emergency food supply, which is breakfasts, lunches, and dinners with 92 servings, meals in resealable heavy-duty 4-layer pouches, 8 food varieties with up to a 25-year shelf life. Currently, right now, on sale for $87, limit 2 per household. They have a 4-week emergency food supply, 2,000 plus calories a day with 252 servings. Breakfast, lunches, dinners, drinks, and snacks. 16 food varieties with up to a 25-year shelf life. Those are just under $200. Limit 3 per household. So,
and then when you empty them out, you can take the buckets down to the beach and you can make sandcastles with them.
Yeah.
Or if you're really smart, you can go down to the beach and go looking for clams.
yeah, but but think of it this way. So, and we've laughed at sites like this before. We've scoffed at preppers, either on the show or in our personal lives. We've looked at these people like, you're crazy.
I
Now-
never
now-
really.
Let him
To be
go.
fair,
Let him, no,
Yeah, to
let him
be
go.
fair, no, I get it, but what I'm saying is, yes, sometimes we've rolled our eyes at these people, for good reason, because squirreling away emergency food usually also means, substantial amounts of ammunition, a bomb shelter, and army grade protective gear with these people. But take a look at what's going on at Walmart's, Costco's, Sam's Clubs, all over the United States, and even up here now.
Mm-hmm.
People are losing their freaking minds.
well, it's like I say, the reason why they're buying so much toilet paper is because for every one person that sneezes, 100 people lose their shit.
Well,
And actually, there are some people who are trying to. They knew this was coming, so what they did is they bought all to scalp it.
Mm-hmm. I saw that.
Like one roll of toilet paper for a couple of bucks, or somebody selling a bottle of hand sanitizer for $70.
But Amazon and eBay have cracked down on that. Thank
Yeah,
goodness.
apparently there was one guy, he bought several $1,000s worth of hand sanitizer, and Amazon saw what he was going to do and they shut him down. So now he's got a garage full of hand sanitizer, and
Can't sell it.
I know doxing's illegal, but honestly, for what that guy was planning to do and the fact that he's just being an asshole on principle, I'd say find the guy and help relieve him of his inventory. That's all I'm saying.
yeah. Forgive me for getting just a little economically philosophical for a second. Congratulations, people. This is what capitalism is all about. Buy low, sell high. And it doesn't matter how you do it because, well, you got yours and, well, whatever.
Yeah.
So let's kind of deal with part of that angle. There have been a number of people in the political arenas for years, and not just here in the US, over on the Canadian side, in the European Union area, including France, I'm sure, where it's been, look, health of the health of the populace is something that we can handle at a federal level. The country, the people in the country deserve to have, we can afford to give everybody health care, at the very least, to make sure that they've got preventative care at least affordable levels. Well, funny how that here is starting to become a really big talking point, and I can't say as I blame anybody. If we had preventative, free preventative maintenance medical here in the US. People who were going in who were just like, do I have a cold? Do I have a flu? Well, we might have already had the testing equipment, hint, hint, in order to check to find out, okay, is it coronavirus? Well, we'll find out in a couple hours for you. Speed it through. Otherwise, here's the stuff that you can do to keep yourself safe for the time being. We'll call you back when we've got results. Cool, great, thank you very much. Done.
Yeah, it would have been great too if, all the times you wanted to manufacture all this wonderful stuff that you hadn't exported your businesses to the place where it all began.
Well,
here's something else I'd like to point out.
Yeah, who can then take over the business and say, no, you're not returning that stuff to the United States because we need it. Turn the ship around.
Something else I'd like to point out is that with regards to testing and being prepared for this, we had a branch of the government called I believe it was called the NSC, National Science Committee, if I remember correctly, that's what it stood for. It was something that Obama made sure that it was that got the funding that it needed, because what it was designed to do is it was designed to look around, and I'm going to use an analogy here, okay? It was that team was supposed to look across the country and across the world and see if there was smoke. If they saw smoke, they were supposed to see if there was fire associated with that smoke. Then they would look at that fire and see if that would become a 5 or 6 or whatever alarm fire that the firehouses use, that is the maximum number of alarm, like a pandemic. Okay? And when Trump got into office, he defunded the hell out of them. Bye-bye, gone. Why? Because Obama funded them. Here's the really funny part. Bush started them. A Republican started that group, that branch of the government. A Republican saw the need for this. Another Republican comes in, kills it because a Democrat helped make sure that it continued to stay funded, and then blame the Democrat for not being able to see this coming. That's what we have. That's what we have. This is what we have in office, and I have people who are still avid Trump supporters that I work with. Not as many as there used to be, but these are the people who are just like the gamblers. They have lost so much, investing so many years into supporting this man, that they refuse to acknowledge the people who were telling them they were wrong. They don't want those people to be right.
Yep.
So they are doubling and tripling down.
Yeah. Sounds like a few religious people we know.
Yep.
Yeah. Fucking faith healers.
What I found particularly laughable, in the sense of looking at this from a standpoint of why weren't we prepared? The last time I checked, when they started offering COVID-19 testing, they limited it. They basically said, we're not testing anybody that hasn't had confirmed contact with somebody who's already been tested positive for it.
Yep.
But they're not even testing those people.
But how are you supposed to know that?
That is part of the problem with this whole thing.
That sounds like probably the absolute worst fucking way to address a medical emergency.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
and Joseph's right.
Well, yeah. The impetus for wanting me to bring up this topic is, I've been watching this since November and had a feeling that it was, could turn into something really ugly, which it is now. And, just 2 weeks ago, I was asking at work, what contingency plans do we have in place if people need to work from home, if, this does end up becoming a pandemic, which it has, and was told, we haven't really talked about it. We don't have any. And then hearing them say, oh, well, it's just the flu. And it is so not just the flu. there are a lot of ramifications to getting this that people may not be aware of. One thing, it can cause sterility in males because it targets the ACE2 gene. That's your angiotensin converting enzyme gene. A lot of people with high blood pressure will take ACE2 blockers for their hypertension, and that also helps explain why so many people with hypertension and cardiac problems have so much danger, from this virus, because it targets those same receptors. We're also finding out now, coming out of Japan, that you can be reinfected. And when you're reinfected, it targets your lungs. And it can cause a 20 to 30% reduction in your lung capacity, which some people cannot handle that type of a reduction in their lung capacity. There's also 2 strains of it going around, so you can be infected with both. The first strain is an S strain, which is where they think that this started from in the first place. It's more ancient as far as the DNA, not the DNA, the RNA goes. And then the L strain branched off of it and seems to be more virulent, but it's also more contagious. And there's still a lot that we're learning about this as far as like why the children are not infected so heavily. I mean, they are carriers, but they don't seem to be getting as ill. And as far as the age brackets, they can tell pretty consistently by age who's going to have the higher mortality rate. And it doesn't seem to matter. I mean, a lot of them do have underlying conditions, but some of them are perfectly healthy 70-year-olds that it's killing them. As your age goes up, the risk of dying goes up. And I think the mortality rate for people who are 70 and up is up around 15%, which is not very good.
No, it's not.
And I've heard stupid suggestions from governments, especially Boris Johnson in the UK, saying that it just needs to go through the population and burn itself out. And if you just let it tear through the population, then you get what happened in Italy. Right now, the Virgin Islands has their first case. And there was a lady on NPR that's part of their health ministry that says they have a total of 7 hospital beds because they've been hit by hurricanes and things. And if they've got their first case, what are they going to do with 7 beds?
They're going to hope really hard.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to overwhelm all of the healthcare systems if people are not doing their part to isolate. And there are people that are complaining because, March Madness got canceled and their concert got canceled and they can't go to their sports things. And, they're not stopping to think, what is this going to do to the medical system? There's only so many respirators that we have. Masks are on back order. People cannot get their supplies. And once your medical staff starts dying from this stuff, which they are, we don't have the manpower or anything else. And if I hear one more fucking person say it's just the flu, I'm going to knock the hell out of them.
Joseph, you were trying to get in there.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, if you want to, I posted in the chat here a link to a scientific paper, science journal paper that, well, if you want confirmation of everything that Brigid is describing about the sickness, it's all in there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph.
Yeah. For everybody's notice, there have been a lot of links that the hosts have been sharing in our chat, and I will make sure that they're all into the show notes so that anybody and everybody can read them up later. And trust me, I've got 2 screens in front of me. I've got the main screen over here, which has got the camera, obviously, and then I've got my secondary, which is off to my left. You're right on screen, and even though I'm not looking over at it, I can still see every once in a while there's another flip with new information that's getting typed over there, and flip, mm-hmm. And I see it's happening. It's scaring me a little bit because I'm looking at it going, shit, what's there now? Anyway. But
well, if I provide any more links that I think need to be shouted out, I'll just let you know without.
No, don't worry about it. Whatever you guys should know by now anything that goes in there that's relevant, and generally speaking, it usually is. Yeah, don't worry, it's going to go in there. I'll take care of that part. That's on me.
For the audience, one of the things I put in there is an article in the chat is not the YouTube chat, but for the chat to put in the show notes later is the Ars Technica article. Don't panic. The comprehensive Ars Technica guide to the coronavirus. Why? Because every day at 3 p.m. or 1500 Eastern time, Eastern Daylight Time, depending on whether you're military or not, what they like to do is they gather all the data that they've had since the last 24 hours went by, and update all the information on this article. And they've got it posted on the main page, so you don't have to go digging for it. But we're going to make it easy for you. What I like about it is that it is an indexed publication that talks about dogs and pets. It talks about what actions to take depending on whether you have it or not. What some of the statistics are in terms of people have caught it in areas of the world and such. And it gives you all the right bits of knowledge without getting so granular that you go, oh my God, this is too much. But they don't leave out anything that you really need to know about it. At the end of the day, it's wash your hands. Don't cough and sneeze on people if you are coughing and sneezing. If you have the option to go get a flu shot, go get the flu shot, and so on and so on and so on. And the other thing that I have in there is that you need to really be careful. I put it in the Holy Crap host chat area. There is, if you live out in Indiana, Austin, Indiana, to be exact, there's actually a church out there that thinks it's a great idea to invite hundreds of people through their Facebook page to come to attend their services. And they specifically invite people who believe they may have the coronavirus, because they will perform a lay of hands to help heal them. Now, if anybody has ever participated in a lay of hands and is currently using an ounce of common sense with regards to the virus and how it's caught, how you get it, then you know that a whole bunch of people are going to be touching you. Potentially, all these people may not have the virus yet. And now you're giving it to them.
Yep. Before you go any further than that, Brigid, I have 2 words, and I would like to get your feedback on them after having heard that specific item. The 2 words in question are pox party.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
I know exactly what those are, and you should not be doing this.
For those of you that don't know what's being mentioned about, pox parties are something that is usually done by those who are anti-vax parents.
Mm-hmm. To try to get their children to get chicken pox all at the same time and get it over with.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it?
And I would like to say, something, or get people to think about this. This is not going to blow over in a couple of weeks. Yeah, they're saying that you need to have 2 to 4 weeks of food on hand and blah, blah, blah. But Dr. Fauci, in conjunction with the CDC and the NIH, is saying that, we need to be prepared to be on lockdown for about 8 weeks. It could be longer. And the potential of this becoming something endemic is very high. This may be something that we're always dealing with. They're trying to get a vaccine for it, but a cold is a type of coronavirus, and you know how hard it is to try to find a vaccine for the cold because it mutates so much.
I mean, that's where the old expression, we can send a man to the moon, but we can't kill the
Can't
common
cure
cold.
Cold.
Well, I mean, and look at the flu shot. You have H1N1, H1N5, H3R2D2. At some point, like it seems every
R2D2.
Well, but it seems every year
There's
you're
a new
getting a flu
mutation.
shot for a different strain.
Hmm.
So I mean,
So
it's a
I'm not
moving
very
target.
hopeful that we're going to find a vaccine for this. If we do, it's going to take years. We still haven't found a vaccine for AIDS either, or HIV rather.
True.
And there are several types of coronaviruses out there. Cold is just one of them, and a lot of people saying that this is just the common cold. That's bullshit too. It is a variant of SARS. That's why it has SARS-CoV-2.
Yep.
And it just happens to be a lower mortality rate than the original SARS-1 is. It's just a lot more infectious.
Do
And our
you?
way of life has changed, and it will be changed
But
from
it's,
here on out.
yeah, by any stretch of the imagination, do you remember what the lethality was on SARS?
It was around 30%.
That high?
Hmm.
Shit.
That's why people were in such a panic to try to shut that down. And
I
Hong
I
Kong learned their lesson.
okay. Normally I wouldn't say it, but at this point, fuck, I didn't know it was that. Wow.
Yeah, SARS was very deadly.
Holy
Yes.
shit. If I remember correctly, the the lethality at the moment for COVID-19 has been somewhere in the ballpark, very ballpark, of about 5%. And that is, like I said, very ballpark because
Hmm.
the lethality is really highly dependent on a lot of factors. One of the biggest one being, as was said before, age.
Age and health status. If you have any underlying issues like high blood pressure or diabetes or cancer or anything like that, then it takes out those folks too. And I have diabetes, and so that's a concern of mine.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Um,
There was
I've
some.
also had the flu twice and been in ICU due to respiratory failure. So I do take this very seriously.
And now you're on a show voluntarily where you have to use a lot of breath and talk. Good practice for
Well,
you,
yeah,
plenty.
but my ass is on lockdown right now, and so is my husband.
You know what?
And
What you guys do on your weekends is your business entirely. There's a couple of things over in the chat, by the way. Cybabe and Z Dog. I am unfamiliar with Z Dog. I know of Cybabe, but I've I'm not entirely sure on the complete on that one. Anyway,
Mhm.
apparently have put out some good solid rational information. Cool. Also making reference to the Centers for Disease Control here in the U.S. and WHO. There was a joke that I made earlier about them being back on tour again.
Yeah,
They
that was
they
funny.
they were, but in this case, WHO being the World Health Organization.
That was funny.
Thank you. There is a concern that, and I'm quoting over here from Trippin, CDC seems to be withholding info.
Yes, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. Let's also be fair about this one. CDC does not want to, but they get their step-in orders from their boss. Their boss, who is a heavy, big-time science denialist,
Yes.
who is also just a petulant child in charge.
He is worried about the numbers and is worried about the economy.
Yeah,
And I'll
let's.
tell you something, the global economy tank over this, and we're going to find out that just in time is might not be the best way to run things, and might need to reconsider our supply chains.
Yeah. Um, let me tag onto that for a couple of seconds because I think it's worth getting a little pissed off about that one. Joseph, now that you were back, before we went on, you had given us a couple of numbers as far as to how many people that you kind of knew from reports, how many reports there had been for infections in France, right?
Yeah, I was just going over the numbers when
Yeah,
15 minutes after I woke up.
and and thank you for that. What kind of numbers did you have or do you have at the moment?
Oh, I'm gonna have to pull those up again.
Yeah,
Um,
rough ballpark is fine.
yeah, well, I was just going over, I was looking at the most informative site I could find about the pandemic now it is, I think.
Hmm.
It's official. Was World Meter. I'll find a link for it.
Is that the one that I put up, or is it a different one?
Wait a second.
Let me throw this in here.
Yeah, well, I was just looking. France is overall, when a country is infected, the numbers, they peak at a certain point and then they decline. And France seems to be still in the peak period, but the peak is slowing. So
it
It's-
is, but we're doubling about every 5 days. And we are about, the US is about 10.5 days behind France, and the UK is about 13.5 days behind France.
Wait a minute. I thought it was Italy that we were trailing.
I mean, excuse me, Italy. I'm sorry.
Okay. No worries.
Yeah, I misspoke. Yeah, it's
Okay.
behind Italy. So we're about to get slammed in a few days, and then the UK is going to be right behind us. And we're going to see what this is really like.
yeah, it's the same link as you, Brigid.
Okay.
Okay. And
It's a good link.
The France specific one.
okay. And
And they do source their stuff. It's a reliable site.
Yep.
do you have any recollection of what the numbers were for France? Just even ballpark.
4,469 coronavirus confirmed coronavirus cases as of midnight last night, and 91 deaths, and only 12 recovered. But one must be reminded, this is a good site because you can do a cross analysis of all the statistics they provide, and we can see that we're still in our peak period, which means the confirmed cases are relatively recent, which means most of them are still being treated. So it's not going to result in anything for at least another week.
Yeah, good ballpark there.
People
Appreciate
that
that.
are under treatment are generally in the hospital for 3 to 4 weeks, and so that is going to tie up your beds longer.
Yeah.
Plus, you still have people that are in ICU from the flu and things like that.
Dallin, you had some numbers for your side of the border. Do you recall? Again, just ballpark is good.
Actually, let me bring them up.
Here
we go.
And for the record, by the way, over in New York State where I am, if memory serves, the ballpark figure is approximately 600 cases confirmed, and in the county where I am, out Buffalo way, we have 3 confirmed currently.
You have by count. Oh, I'm sorry, Alan.
I was going to say, I did post where I'm getting these numbers from in our chat, so you can add it to the show notes. Anyways, as of March 14th, 2020, 5:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a government site, so of course they've got to be particular. So number of confirmed cases by province: British Columbia, 73, Alberta, 39. And yes, I'm coughing. I'm not one of them. Just so you know. Saskatchewan, 0. Manitoba, 4. Ontario, 101. Quebec, 21. New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island, both at 1. And repatriated travelers, so people coming home from abroad, 4. With zero probable cases. So nationally, we're sitting at 244 confirmed cases of COVID-19.
Okay.
Multiply that number by about 10, and that will be your actual rate. And that's from Dr. Fauci at NIH.
Yeah.
Here's
I will go ahead and give you out some medical advice from a podcast, which we never do, but I'm going to anyway. Do not go to your doctor and ask for testing. Do not go to the hospital for treatment. If you start having any kind of shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, call ahead first so they can meet you out in the parking lot or tell you what their protocol is to keep you from exposing other people.
Yeah, they actually put that on the news multiple times. They said if you have these symptoms, but not these other ones, call your doctor. Because they were showing what the common symptoms are depending on whether you have the flu or whether you have seasonal allergies or whether you have just a regular common cold. and so on and so forth. And all of them, all the new, the different channels are basically saying the same thing that you just said. Call first.
Yep.
And there is no treatment at this point. So the only thing that they can do for you is supportive oxygen, put you on a respirator if you need it. That's all they can really do for you. So if you do need those services, then do seek them out by all means.
Yep. Joseph, you were trying to get in.
Yeah, I was just wanted to ask you about. You've got county specific numbers for cases.
I did see a news article earlier tonight that someone else that lives out here that I know of had posted from the local news, and yeah, there were. I don't remember what the numbers were, and I can't go pulling them up right at the moment. But there were 3 cases that were just announced for the county in and around Buffalo, which is where I live. I have no idea, geographically speaking, where in the county, because it's a rather sizable area. But there are 3. I do know full well that there are additional cases out Monroe County, which is where Rochester is. There are a couple of them in, I believe it's Broome and Tioga counties, which are down the southern tier, which is where Binghamton is. And this is kind of the thing that I'm expecting to end up seeing, that the higher density areas, they're of course going to be the ones where it's going to be, it's going to be showing up most, at least
Well,
for now.
you have to assume that, but
Yeah.
because of what one thing that worries me a lot is the lack of information about the specifics of about the areas, because the areas to avoid are clusters
Yeah.
where there's a lot of confirmed cases,
Mhm.
because we can assume that in areas like this, I don't know how to compare, but if there's a certain amount of confirmed cases in an area, one, there's a certain risk of contamination there, or it's more elevated than other areas, and there's probably a lot of unconfirmed cases. So, anyways, just if we knew about areas to avoid, it
Yeah.
would be better. We seem to be seeing only generalized figures. Like here in France, I posted something in Facebook yesterday about the lack of, I'm living in a pretty densely populated city. I think we have one of the world's highest population densities in the world. There's no information about what the location of the clusters. We've only got vague reporting, which I can compare to yours, Susan, about just confirmed cases in certain areas, but there's no overall source of information available to anyone.
Yeah. There's.
And I'm wondering if this is by design, because last night I was deploring the lack of
I
specificity, but I'm wondering if it's by design to avoid a kind of
I think it might be because there are some places like Hong Kong and Taiwan where they have apps on their phones, where if you walk into an area where there've been clusters, it'll send an alert on your phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's another piece about it too, and this is one of those double-edged swords where I don't know that I like it, but I understand it. Here in the U.S., and I know full well that that Dallin's going to go ahead and have a big sigh at this one. The idea of releasing too much information because of the possibilities of medical information getting out into the public, i.e., HIPAA regulations, where you have to protect. See, I heard that sigh. I heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you have to protect the anonymity, the privacy of anyone with medical conditions. And if you give too much information, there is the possibility that someone could kind of ferret out who it is and deal with that.
I don't think it goes that far though, but yeah, that you have a good point.
See, the
But I
reason.
think it's more like it's a source of the information because every case reported comes from somewhere.
True.
And I mean, like I put on Facebook, they don't just note down the number of infected and then just toss, the origin of the info.
Yep.
They have this info.
Yeah.
But
I'm sorry.
what I was, yeah, but what I was, what I was wondering about is that if they did publish too much information, I mean, if we were living in a rational society, people would look at the numbers, consider them, and people living in infected areas maybe would take more precautions than others, and people not living in those infected areas would avoid these areas. But unfortunately, in this world where people tend to react more than think about anything, that could also create a psychosis. People living in the infected areas would maybe want to leave and infect others.
Well, we also have a problem with racism in this country too.
Thank you.
There have been cases of children of Asian descent being beaten up just because they're of Asian descent and saying, "Well, we don't want your flu," or whatever it is that they said to these kids, just beating the shit out of them for no reason.
Yep. And I don't remember where I've heard those stories from. I think I've heard one of those stories of exactly that happening coming out of Ontario.
But that's exactly what is so scary about this, because I read a commentary about this. This virus, yeah, it's bad, but it's not bad as some of the other plagues and so whatnot that humanity has seen. But it's like
It's not bad in that it's not an airborne virus.
Well,
Okay.
hold on. Time out. Absolute timeout right now. And I'm pulling rank this time for a couple seconds. One of the biggest problems that we have about this particular virus is there are a lot of unanswered questions, including the vector. Now, I have heard, I don't have any kind of confirmation on this one, but I have heard various reports that include that it is transmittable by saliva particles, hence the sneezing, that it could be simply left behind via contact through, again, saliva, mucus. I have also heard the possibility that it is also airborne / waterborne through fecal material. Now, before anybody goes ahead and starts, ewing and everything, just put on your science hats for a second.
That's true.
We know full well from the myth. Shit, Dallin, could you put over in our thing that I need to find the MythBusters video on the organisms from bathroom use. They did a thing where they went to try to find out what happens in a bathroom, how much stuff gets blown up because of using the restroom. And before you go ahead and think that, everything's all nice and peachy, no.
It's aerosolized.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't think about it because we don't normally have to deal with it because it's just us. You go into public and you use public toilets, you've got a bigger volume that you have to deal with. You actually found the damn thing straight away? Well, thank you. See what I was saying about looking over there and all of a sudden... One video at a time, motherfucker. God damn. You're being too nice to me.
It's 2 for 1 night. It's BOGO.
What the CDC and the World Health Organization have said is that it definitely is transmittable by human spittle. So if you cough, boom, you can transmit it. If you sneeze and you have the mucus come out of your nose, that can transmit it. If you have saliva on your fingertips and you touch something, they have confirmed that it can live up to, not guaranteed, but it can live up to, under the right circumstances, on a surface for up to 3 days. My best guess is because this thing needs so much moisture to transmit, is it's probably like, imagine if you will, if you go into a public restroom, you see people wash their hands by just running it underwater, touching stuff and walking away and leaving a puddle of water around. it's probably similar to that, but I still clean your surfaces. And if you touch a surface in a public area, wash your hands.
Yeah, hold on a second. Brigid, I don't know. I don't remember this 3-day item, but how long was it that measles remains virulent in an enclosed space, never mind on a surface? I thought it was something like,
Like 2 days.
yeah. So, shit. And we know that measles.
What I've been hearing is this depends on the surface.
Okay.
That it can live on some surfaces up to 9 days.
That was one that I heard. And measles, if I remember right, is 90% plus infectious, if I remember right.
It's R naught value, I think, is 15, which is like for every person that you come in contact with, you're going to infect 15 others. The R naught on flu is like 1.1. And R naught on this is, right now, they're saying about 3.8. It could go higher.
Yeah, the guys have got a bunch of items over here.
And any of your UPS packages, it's a good idea to let them set for a few days before you open them, just in case.
Yeah, there is that. Yeah,
But but the big point was that it doesn't travel. It has not been confirmed to travel through the air the way other contagions have traveled before in environments that are highly arid, lacking moisture, those sorts of things. It's not it's the standard through the air vector is not been confirmed. Only requiring high moisture environment.
But the droplets can stay suspended for up to 30 minutes.
Yeah, be careful because I heard
there are cases of people leaving a bus and then having people embark on the bus 30 minutes later and catching it that way.
Okay, hold it there, Tech. Joseph, I'm sorry, you were trying to say.
Yeah, I just be careful with stating things as fact because I heard it by what I read and also in the paper I posted earlier. Surfaces is one of the lower contamination factors, and actually the highest is being in presence of somebody contaminated for more than a few minutes at a time.
Yeah,
and that is because of the vapor factor or whatever you call it, airborne.
Yeah, which
this is what I read. Okay, this is
I was about to say, to be fair, that's pretty much what we'd expect from pretty much any contagion. I know that there are probably some people who are going to actually understand. Has anybody checked Madagascar yet?
Madagascar does not have any cases yet. Neither does Greenland, but Iceland does.
Somebody knows where I'm going. Someone knows exactly what I'm talking about now.
Because President Madagascar shut everything down. It's just like pandemic.
Can I just come back? The point I was trying to make earlier.
Yes.
About the virus not being quote unquote so bad is that someone made a comment about and this is about human behavior in general. It's what I usually harp on, but somebody said that this epidemic is a pandemic or epidemic?
It's a pandemic.
It's a
pandemic at this point.
Okay, a pandemic is it's a dress rehearsal for something worse that can come, because like right now, because of the this is exposing so many things. It's we're exposing problems with our reactions to this kind of threat. We're also exposing weaknesses in the media. And we're seeing all the ugliness of human behavior that happens around this kind of. For the time being, I'd call it more a psychosis than a pandemic, because the human behavior is that's what spreads faster than the sickness itself.
Yeah, this isn't a plague being spread by rats. This is a plague it's a pandemic being spread by human uh, emotions, lack of forethought, lack of preparation, a lot of lack of everything, and then ignorance on top of it, dismissal, and even having political figures, members of the government dismissing things, members of the press dismissing things. Like on the radio, you have certain conservative radio hosts who are dismissing it and saying, "Eh, nothing's going to happen. You're going to be fine."
I believe the word you're looking for here is hubris.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
But it's
Well, I
like
mean, most people will be fine, but what about the 20% who won't?
Now,
20% is a lot.
that's
yeah, most people,
1 in 5 people.
and I think most people are thinking just not me until it's them.
let's put this in
20
perspective.
20% of the American population, that is roughly 60 million people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless
20%
I
of
miss
this,
unless I
yeah.
miss my guess, that's more than the population of my country.
And they're
300
saying, Dr. Fauci is saying that by the time all is said and done, about 70 to 80% of everyone in the world will be infected with this.
Which is why we need more information about the consequences, because it's like many illnesses that have spread in the past, it spreads through the population, and then we become immunized to it because our immune systems learn to recognize the virus. So that's a natural factor. But I mean, some of us are just not up to the task. The elderly or the people with respiratory illnesses and all that, they're not up to the task of overcoming this virus. So these are the people most affected. So it'd be good to have more information about what sort of person would be more affected. For the time being, it seems to be the elderly.
Diabetic, heart
Yeah.
disease.
And the world has a very high elderly population, and diabetic population. So this also has to be factored into the numbers of deaths.
And about 25% of the people in in the United States have some form of diabetes. And so that has to be factored in as well.
Yeah, we need the whole story, not just
And we're still learning. There's still a lot to learn.
Yeah. But the trouble because we're still kind of in the discovery phase and everything, one of the other problems we have, of course, is the media. And I mean everybody, all sides in the media,
I don't
from
listen to the
Absolutely.
media.
from major news broadcasters down to bloggers, who are all trying to capitalize on this to push their own agenda or check off all the boxes that their bosses want so they can pander to certain ideals by basically flooding with hyperbole, fear-mongering, basically fake news, just so that they can get their clicks and their reactions without actually giving us any facts.
the fun.
And
What
that's the hardest part, is who can we turn to?
what I've been turning to personally is listening to like the Senate hearings on this, doctors and epidemiologists testify. I've also listened to the daily WHO briefings that they give. They do show those on YouTube as they're streaming. As a backup, I will go listen to what they're talking about on NPR. They seem to be the least biased here as far as in the States.
Yeah.
As far as like network, I have eschewed all network coverage at this point.
Yeah.
Regardless whether it's Fox, MSNBC, or whomever, CNN, all of those. I have not been listening to them.
I go straight to Reuters.
That's okay.
Yeah, Reuters
Let's-
is good too.
Okay, let's cover this part really quickly because I think this is kind of important. Some months ago, I forget exactly how far back it was, there was a very telling video that was produced where somebody had gotten a whole bunch of videos from local news broadcast services where they all said exactly the same thing.
I remember
I've
that
seen
video.
And this
that.
was specifically for Sinclair Broadcasting. Because if memory serves, they currently host, I forget what the number is. I think the number was something in the area of approximately 70% of news outlets.
That sounds about right.
If not necessarily the individual stations, but they have coverage through 70% of. Now, like I said, I don't remember exactly what it is, but the fact that there are virtually no independent local news organizations at this point means that we have to be exceptionally careful of where we're getting our information from. Here in the United States, National Public Radio, NPR, is one group I would tend to trust more than others. That would also go for BBC. They have also proven themselves to be very even-keeled, very good about their news. Reuters, also, they are a news organization. They'll sell it out afterwards, but they do good investigative journalism, and they tend to know their stuff. Al Jazeera, for as much as we might not necessarily like them for various other reasons,
Their
have
coverage
shown
is
themselves
excellent.
to have good, excellent coverage as well. Yes, you can get to the coverage from WHO, and if you can get it, the stuff from CDC at Senate hearings and such, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because the way that the administration is trying to put a thumb on them, but you can still get them. Dallin, on the Canadian side, who would you tend to trust in those kinds of areas? I mean, knowing full well the Canadian Air Force is no longer in business.
Yeah. Well, 22 minutes is still around, but
That's something.
no, like, okay, we do have our big ones. We have like CBC, CTV, and to some extent global news. Those are the sort of our big three. But well, okay, CBC not so much. But yeah, for the most part, there's not a lot of bias that I've found in Canadian news networks in that respect. So, like, if you're gonna get, if you're looking for, fairly, balanced news about stuff like this, any one of the big three networks is fairly good because there is no. We're not blaming Trudeau for creating the disease, like some people south of the border are currently blaming the administration as such. I've probably heard something to that effect where, and I also don't hear a lot of the conspiracies, my last week's pool tournament notwithstanding, because that's where I heard it. No, up here, it's fairly reliable because like I said, 20% of your population is more than the population of my country. We all kind of got to look out for each other.
Yeah, true that.
So, trying to use something like this for political gain or agenda pushing or whatever, for me, with, as a Canadian, that's nasty. Okay, that's just bad all around.
Yeah. Stephanie, also...
honestly, if a politician tried to do that up here and then was about to run for re-election, I guarantee you that little thing about them trying to capitalize on it would be one of the biggest hit pieces that would be done by that person's opponent.
Yeah. Stephanie had also pointed out NHS in Great Britain, United Kingdom, England. I don't remember which one it actually covers. Please forgive me. I'm hitting all the spots as best I can. Okay, could be Ireland, could be Wales. I don't know. I forgive me. My understanding of the political juxtaposition of everything and everybody over there is lacking. That's my fault. I should really look it over so I understand it better. My apologies. NHS, sorry, is the National Health Service?
National Health Services, yeah.
Okay. That there are British medical journals that we've got that. Brigid is also pointing out that Johns Hopkins have also been doing some items streaming on YouTube as well. Joseph, on your side, are there any French or Europe-based services that you can think of that would be trustable?
Yeah, I'd have to pull that up, but I forget the name of it to translate it in English. But I think it's just the National Health Service here. It's the most reliable.
Fair enough.
But they seem to be a bit behind, which is kind of strange. In their publications.
It could be a matter that they're kind of waiting to make sure that they've got as much good info as possible. At least that's the way I'd like to think of it.
Yeah, I'd like to too, but I mean, if sites like World Meter can get the data, it should be available to the French population as well. There's one thing when we're talking about media. There's one disturbing trend I see generally in the media is that the local media seems to focus on what's happening in neighboring counties and areas rather than focus on their own.
Yeah, there's that.
Maybe that's a deflection. Maybe they're doing that to say they're trying to cover up how bad their system is by comparing themselves to someone else.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, but you think things are bad here? Well, look it over there. And
exactly.
Yeah. Joey, were there any? I know that you don't typically end up watching the news or anything, but did you have any groups that you listen to or you think might be worth keeping a watch on news-wise?
Personally, I've been wary about where to get news about this because it's hard to tell who's blowing smoke up your ass. It's hard to actually ascertain who has the right information, who has information that's not biased and isn't in some way, trying to either act like they know more than they actually do or try to suppress information. Thus far, I've been sticking mostly to in what I've tried to learn about it, I've tried to stick mostly to the credible sources that I can reasonably trust. And those, for the most part, NPR, the BBC, and oddly enough, Al Jazeera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same ones I was referring to. Tech.
If I could say something about.
Oh yes.
About Al Jazeera. Besides the name, actually, their English speaking journal team, they have a lot of independence. So.
Actually, TDTF put another one in 538. I've heard of these guys. It's a news site.
Yeah.
I'm unfamiliar with that one, but we can find a little bit more. And also listing Vice and The Economist that just popped up on me. Tech, what about for you? Or do you even bother trying to find something at this point?
I tend to read a lot of the technology websites, things like that's how I came across the Ars Technica article, which is one of the things I have bookmarked with regards to staying up to date. Now, granted, that's only a 24-hour update. So the other ones that I have bookmarked are the CDC's website as well as the World Health Organization site. If I want to hear what the CDC has to say, I go straight to the CDC. I still watch some of the other news channels as well, the standard local stuff, because, well, it's the standard local stuff. But as far as this goes, I am sticking with the CDC and the World Health, and that's pretty much it. The rest can say whatever they want. Okay, I understand. I understand that, Brigid. But those are what I stick with.
No, fair enough. I also want to make mention to folks, if you want to be getting whatever is the most, and I'm using most in scare quotes for a second, most up-to-date information for your localities, check with the health department websites for whichever area it is that you live in. In this particular case, here in the United States, each of our states, which are huge, by the way, are broken down by county. So whatever would be the equivalent of the county area that would cover for you is probably your best bet to start off with if you're looking for what's happening closer into you without having to go to, a federal level or even just down to a city or town level. Just find that medium balance over there. Brigid, hit him.
Hit him what?
You've got this thing that you wanted to plug the gentleman over there.
Oh, Dr. John Campbell. He's out of the UK. Used to teach nurses and A&E, and he does a daily update that usually comes out in our, early morning hour time. And he goes, he starts with video one and goes through, I don't know how many videos he's got out there, but he's really good at explaining the disease process, the numbers, epidemiology. If you want to get into how blood pressure works or what pneumonia looks like, he has videos on that. But he can teach you the clinical aspects of it in a way that you can understand, but it's not scaremongering or anything like that. It's all factual based. He keeps up with reading in the Lancet and keeps current on all the articles, but he's very good to watch. But he is old school, so there's no flashy graphics or anything like that. He likes to draw things with pen and paper, but I tune into his videos daily first thing when I get up.
So wait a minute.
I would recommend him.
I've had pneumonia confirmed in me 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
I've probably had a much milder case for a 4th time. So I could actually spot over there and take a look and see what it is that my lungs were doing to me.
You could, and he can explain, how pneumonia starts, what exacerbations look like on it, the whole disease process. I mean, he's actually pretty good. He does talk about a lot of things going on in the UK, but he also looks at what's going on too. You just have to get through the accent.
It's English. How bad could it possivowly be?
Right.
I know, famous last words.
But if he links the word China to, another word that starts with a vowel, the neurotic R, China,
You're not going to answer bloody what he's saying.
You can understand him. He's very clear, but, but he sounds like your 2nd grade school teacher trying to explain this to you like you're in 2nd grade so you can understand it.
Oh.
But it's not condescending.
Good.
Oh.
That's
and I've learned a lot from him as far as like things that I've forgotten biochemistry that I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that now. That was 30 years ago.
And it still works today.
And it still works today. And he's got hundreds of videos. And so if you want to branch off into learning about blood gases and everything else out there.
Yep. So we've got that. We've also got that as a link that'll be the show notes on this are going to be freaking long.
Well, it's an important topic.
No, it is. It is. I'm not saying it shouldn't be.
And people need good information that they can rely on. And I'm hoping that provide that with this show.
Hey, we cite our sources.
Yes,
We do.
we do, or at the very least, we try our damnedest to
And
make
You know,
just
sure
we
we
like
do.
should-
good sources.
If you want another level of skepticism, we should even take our skepticism to our own behavior. Because I'm just thinking this and looking at a post by Aaron Roth, who was in an airplane, and he made the comment that there's 5 people coughing next to him constantly. And when I think about this, I also think that, in our everyday lives, we are surrounded by people coughing. Like, every video we watch, there's always somebody coughing in the background and everything. It's just that now, with this pandemic, we just notice it more. So we also have to check our paranoia or check our own, reaction to our surroundings.
Yeah, there's two items I'm going to link together really quickly to get us closed out over here because we've got a lot of information. But there's one thing in particular that has got a lot of people upset, disgruntled, maybe even with a little bit of cabin fever, and I can understand it. The idea of shutting down gatherings, larger gatherings. As I said, next week I was supposed to have been in Toronto for Vernal Equinox. My little one is hugely disappointed because it's a gathering of friends. It's not just a let's sell our art. It's also a let's touch base with everybody, make sure everybody's doing good, have a good time, swapping stories and such. And there are a lot of organizations that have either voluntarily or been forced to close down stuff. Movie theaters who have said we will not allow any more than 250 people at a time, even if that means that we have to limit 50% occupancy in our theaters. Broadway is basically shut down. A lot of TV shows that would otherwise be filming in a studio audience are shut down, or they're going to try to find a way of dealing with it otherwise. Philharmonics, who have said, you know what, we will go ahead and we will do our performances to an empty stage, and we will live stream them for people so that they've got. Discord, as a matter of fact, the chat system that we work with in order to convey ourselves, have opened up their services so that they've lifted limits on how many people can be in a particular stream setting. I forget exactly what it is. U-Haul has come out and said students that need a place to put their stuff, in between because school shut down, college, we will give you spots for free for a little while. Enterprise Rent-A-Car has said that they will lower their age requirement and waive a lot of stuff for students to get their asses home with stuff. And then we've got my commander-in-chief, my president, who said that he didn't want a cruise ship to offload people because they had the virus, because it was going to change the numbers and impact his visibility in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
There has been a lot of up and down for who's coming through and who's screw it. I'll say it. Who's fucking people over. I want to, as we've got the last couple of minutes, to talk briefly about the social aspect. Like I said, next week I was supposed to have been in Toronto. And I was going to be their kickoff DJ on Thursday night to start the whole damn thing off, which was brand new. Normally the thing would be going Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Thursday was kind of like unofficial stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This year, Thursday night was going to be like an unofficial kickoff, and I was going to be the first DJ for the whole damn thing. I had already put out word after they said that we need to scrap it. I have already said I will do the DJ set that I was otherwise going to do but I will live stream it via Second Life, the way that I would normally be doing it anyway, so that we can still have the community, and we can still have, even if we can't get together, we can still get together in this particular way. And Dell and Joey know full well, we've been on Second Life for a very, very long time. The influx of people, I don't know about them, I'm expecting to see a very large resurge in new accounts starting up so that people can have some social ability online.
Yeah, this is going to change our social structure permanently. There is no other way.
Well, yeah, it's certainly going to expose all the faults in it. I don't know about the change part though, because in shutdown here. Because France is in shutdown since there's been a law. Well, I wouldn't call it a law, but anyways, gatherings of more than 1,000 people are forbidden. But all the same, there were protesters out in the streets. The protests going on here, and I was just like flabbergasted to see a live streaming of the Gilets jaunes. Now they call that in English the yellow vests. They were out protesting because tomorrow's the elections here, and they totally ignored the ban. And I'm living in a high student population area, and Friday night it was party time at the university across the street because all the universities are closed from Monday, and the bars, cafes, full, and even the people downstairs from me were partying until 2 o'clock in the morning. So,
don't forget, when you're young, you're invincible.
Well, that's it. But it just shows a disregard, a lack of thought outside one's own comfort bubble. Because while the young, they are less affected by the disease, well, they're still carriers. And my next door neighbor is a 90-year-old woman. So, think a bit.
Some places are just not taking this serious. And places like Taiwan and Singapore, why they have not had the explosion that we're seeing everywhere else and why it seems to be under control, is not only do they have people, isolating, but the people are, know that this is what they need to do for the social good. But in addition to that, if you break quarantine, then you're looking at 1 to 2 years in jail. If you happen to infect someone and they get it and die, then you're looking at 5 years in jail.
Is that an isolation as well? Because, that's one
Yeah,
way to do it.
People are isolating themselves, but if you break your quarantine and infect somebody else, they're taking that shit very seriously.
No,
but they're going along and not breaking the isolation because they feel a duty to their other country people to not infect them. They've been through SARS before and they know how this goes.
I meant in jail. Were these people going to be getting solitary confinement?
Well, that I don't know.
See, because that would.
But I know that places like Iran have unlocked their jails and let all their free because they don't want them confined in there and spreading the disease to each other. And I don't know if that's a good idea or not either.
Didn't Iran's health minister go out there on TV sweating and coughing and saying everything's fine? So
and then he has it. And then he was on that talk show with that woman coughing all over before.
And there was another one where it was an imam or whatever said that
oh yeah,
coronavirus was Allah's vengeance upon the world or something like that for the unworthy, and he caught it.
Oh yeah, but
I'm still waiting for them to blame the gay people. And,
it's been done. It's already been done.
It's already been done. But when you
I haven't heard anything yet.
Oh yeah.
I caught that one early on.
Officials and prime ministers and things like that coming down with it, then you know that this is a problem.
The reigning attitude seems to be, I wouldn't call it attitude, but whatever the mind state seems to be, nobody takes it seriously if it's not themselves. Not me. Oh,
or somebody immediately related.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody within their quote-unquote clan.
Right.
Damn it, Stephanie. Stephanie said Gaia's Revenge. God damn it, now I'm trying to figure, this is a perfect opportunity to
We
bring
may
back
have to
Captain
start playing
Planet.
music. We may have to start playing music for some of this stuff.
I just find it kind of ironic that 45 is like shut down all the flights from Europe, but the UK and Ireland, you're still cool. And then today decided, maybe they can't come in.
Yeah.
And tell me that wasn't political. Of course it was.
and again, that's what I've said. You've got politicization, and then you've also got the Western sense of self-entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me what to do. My freedom.
They're
It'll
coming
never
for
happen
my
to-
guns.
No, not even that.
Well,
But like, God is on my side, or here, I've got an opportunity. I can black market sell toilet paper.
Yeah.
You might have a bit of a problem. There's a guy. There's a guy whose picture is posted on Reddit right now. He's got a garage filled with Lysol and hand sanitizer and toilet paper and all this other stuff because he drove all over to get all these supplies, and then he went on eBay to sell it, and they shut him down. He went on Amazon to sell it, and they shut his ass down. And so
that's
now,
the guy I was talking about at the beginning of the show.
Yeah. And that's the thing. His picture is now posted on the internet. Top post. This guy is going to have a rough life for a little while.
Welcome to r/Black Hole Revenge.
Yeah.
So this is Darwin in action. I want to see what's going to happen in the red states.
Well, I've got two things. One, that hand sanitizer type stuff, isn't that stuff primarily alcohol based for its solvent?
Yes.
And isn't it flammable?
Yes.
I'm just saying.
That should not be stored in his garage.
I'm just saying. And item number two, I saw a part of a wine stream earlier today. Some people know of whom I speak. Okay, I will admit. It was Dr. Samuel Conway, who occasionally does a talk stream, his wine stream on YouTube. And he said something to the effect of, I believe it was, he said something to the effect of, just remember, coronavirus can be eliminated with, I forget what the percentage of alcohol was. It's like, so
60%.
So 120 proof will do it. Just saying. So I don't know what he was trying to point out to anybody.
Your hand sanitizer, it needs to be at least 60% alcohol by volume. If there was some stupid thing going around Facebook where people were talking about making hand sanitizer with Tito vodka, that does not have enough alcohol in there. Do not do this. If you are going to be stupid and try to make your own with some aloe vera gel, you need Bacardi 151 or you need to get Everclear. Those have enough alcohol in there. I'm not saying to do this, but if you're going to.
I need to point something out. Bacardi has ceased manufacturing 151.
Okay, so scratch
So
that.
to find a rum that's 151 proof, there are two other brands out there that are currently still making it, and supposedly they taste better. What I would like to point out is that if you're going to do it yourself, and you're using aloe vera gel, the kind that you put on a sunburn, and you're just adding alcohol to it, you need, if you're doing isopropyl alcohol, you need something that's 99% or higher, because you have to do a 3-to-1 ratio with this stuff.
Like I said, the total volume has to be like 60 to 70% alcohol by volume.
Right. And I don't know about you, but when I go looking out on the shelves at my local Walgreens and Giant and Weiss and everything else, before this whole thing started, okay, I have done technology repair. I have repaired things that have electronics that have hit watery graves and should not have been water exposed. And the thing is that while you can use rice for some things, for other things, what you need to do is you actually have to use alcohol to clean them. Alcohol, isopropyl alcohol has to be, you need 97% proof isopropyl alcohol to properly clean the electronics to kill not only any impurities that were left behind by water, but also to make sure that the small amount of water that's in the alcohol gets evaporated and doesn't leave its more remnants behind.
I use
I
that
had
stuff.
a bitch of a time finding the 97%, and the price tag on it, I went, holy crap.
Yes.
Not a pun out to the show.
Oh.
I ended up having to go online to find it at a reasonable price, and that was before all this crap. Can you imagine trying to find 99%? You
I
probably
use
have
that-
to special order that.
I use that stuff to clean my camera captors or camera sensors.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
and
hard to find. I had the hardest time finding
a
it.
pro
yeah.
tip, if you get Everclear, do not take a shot of it. It's not supposed to be drink straight anyway, but don't take a shot of it and then light a cigarette because your lips will catch on fire.
Okay.
I've seen
And
It's
someone
always
do
fun to
that.
watch.
And-
It's always
and-
fun to watch
and,
stupidity do
and
that.
folks, please remember, don't take chemistry advice from a podcast. But smoking is bad for you anyway, so don't do that. So
Yeah.
we can get away with that one.
I'm just in France. I'm in France, so from now on, I'm going to wash my hands in absinthe.
Absinthe will work. That has a high enough alcohol concentration.
But in seriousness, all tech tip: if you're cleaning contacts that have been exposed to liquids, use 97% isopropyl alcohol. Make sure your hands are clean. Use a Q-tip, and don't pour it over it. Apply it to the Q-tip, and then apply it to the contact surfaces that you're cleaning for electronics.
97%.
Oh, that's another thing, and this does need to be said. I know we're running, need to wrap up. Your cell phones, people. Your cell phones need to be clean. How many of us take them into our bathrooms? How many of us put them on the table? How many of us put them in our pockets, rub our hands all over them, sneeze, and then touch our phones and everything else? You need to clean your phone.
Yes,
Apple
disinfect
has
that sucker.
Yep. You have the manufacturers who give out guidance. Apple has actually come out and said something about how to properly disinfect theirs. It all depends on what your phone is made out of, what kind of protective surfaces you have, whether you have it in a case, you may need to clean your case. Do you have a glass shield over it? What's the proper procedure for cleaning that? Do your research and clean the stuff. Otherwise you continue. Yeah, look
Yes, you will
at all the fingerprints
contaminate
on there.
yourself.
Those oils can breed bacteria and create light environments for viruses.
I'll take Lysol wipes and wipe down my phone, and I've started wiping down my steering wheel and door handles and all of that, and keep a little bag in my car and a little can of wipes in my car.
I have gotten into after I watched I forget who did it. There was a video about the amount of bacteria on our cell phones by the end of just 1 week, and it was insane. I ended up creating a habit of where I clean my cell phone. I have it down to a pattern. I've got isopropyl prep, what they call prep wipes. They're 70% isopropyl alcohol. They're sterile. They come in little packages. I have my freshly cleaned microfiber cloths. I wash mine every night. I clean mine every night. You guys should get in the habit of doing that too.
Yes.
Yeah, foam mites are a thing. That's the last thing I'm going to say is foam mites are a thing. Beware of them.
But what?
Foam mites. That's where, people sneeze or you get crap on your hands and you touch surfaces and you touch things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's that. Trippin had also made reference keyboards. Yeah. Anything that you end up touching, as we know full well. Yeah.
A shout out to my people who have to do field work with technology, specifically computers. Go to Target, shop online, whatever you got to do. Go get the keyboards that roll up into a cylinder because they're all flexible. Get those, bring it home. Get one or two of those. Bring it home, sterilize it, and put it in a bag. Okay, not like a Ziploc bag, but like a carry-all bag. If you have to go to a client's house or place of business or the person down the hall, plug that into their computer, use that, not their keyboard. That way you never have to touch their keyboard. When you're done, you unplug it, you roll it up, you put it back in the bag, and then you clean it later. Or you clean it, in between visitations or whatever. You can do the same thing with a mouse. Get one with a retractable cord, because depending on your office, they may not allow wireless devices. I work with the Navy. They don't allow that stuff. So,
Okay. Real quickly, I'm going to drop this for you guys, and then we gotta go ahead and wrap.
yeah,
because
sorry, I got on a roll with
the I want everybody to understand that we could very easily, conceivably, go another half an hour with the way that this stuff is, because there's just too damn much stuff going on. I know. We're not going to. We're gonna end up wrapping up over here. But I had a brief exchange earlier today with Uncle Kage. I know you can't read it. Don't worry about it. Uncle Kage, who had written the the recommendation for hand washing is to sing "Happy Birthday" twice. Okay. Happy Birthday twice. Out of an abundance of caution, I have taken to singing all verses of "Stairway to Heaven" twice. I am very
jeez. Guy never leaves the bathroom.
I am very confident that I am adequately protected, except my hands are getting really chapped.
O'Keefe's working hands.
My answer to that was, looks at Uncle Kage and just sighs. Aren't you glad that there's no copyright on that anymore? Specifically, "Happy Birthday," I meant. For those of you that don't know, yes, it finally went through the courts, and they finally said, yeah, no copyright on that anymore. Denied.
You could also do the ABC song if you sing it slowly. Don't speed through it like a lot of kids like to do.
You could
You
also
can also
sing
do the intro to Star Trek, and then the do.
Yeah, there is also the one for that I've seen where folks have said you could do the first verse from "Sweet Transvestite."
Yes, you can.
You enjoy that one.
I prefer to do the Time Warp.
You can do whatever works for you, man. I don't really much care. Just remember, if you're going to sing anything, just not anything by the Butthole Surfers. Joey, is there anything that you want to close off with? There was a joke in there.
Albums.
There was a joke in there. Nobody? Really? Nothing?
No.
Dude, I have the Butthole Surfers albums.
I'm letting that one go.
Good
Frozen?
choice.
Last thing that I want to say is, if you still have to go out grocery shopping and stuff, which I don't because I'm good, but people do have to do that. When you bring your stuff home, be sure to wipe it down with a disinfectant cloth if you can, because you don't know who else has been touching all that stuff.
There is that. I'd also like to add on to that, make a list, know where you need to go into a store, minimize contact as much as possible. If possible, use plastic in order to do your payment, if it's convenient, because it also, again, minimizes risk of interacting, touching, passing on. And if you do have to go out and interact with these people who are probably not being paid nearly enough, please be exceptionally kind to them. They're putting up with a lot of stress and a lot of bullshit right now.
Oh, I can guarantee that. I had to go to the grocery store.
Be mindful.
I went to my local Giant, and I can tell you what, a very interesting fact. The only people working there were in their teens.
That says something right there.
And low 20s.
At the Kroger in Memphis, they're now doing the self-check only, which I think is pretty smart.
It is, but I really hope that the people who are otherwise not working as cashiers are getting some payment, but that's a whole other thing.
But they're having to go to that now because they don't want to get their cashier sick.
No, I know, but I mean, they need to get salary.
Well,
They need to be paid.
The Democrats were working on that until the GOP shut it down. I'm just saying.
Like
Remember
I
that
said,
when it's time to vote.
a whole other half an hour right there, but that's a whole other thing. Dallin, any last item on you?
Get informed. Get good sources. Learn as much as you can to keep yourself and those close to you safe. And if you come down with it, find, well, I didn't want to be so flippant about it, but the governments that we have here, they said quarantine yourself and get a hold of a medical provider, and get points from there. You've heard me tonight coughing or clearing my throat. I'm okay. I'm not breaking out any kind of a fever or anything like that yet. But it's also been stinkingly cold here. And usually with the dry air, this is when I start coughing like crazy. So, but just, be safe, but above all, be informed, because there's a lot of crap going on out there right now. Don't fall into the traps that politics or that politicians or opportunists are trying to sell you. Just ignore all of that, because that's just going to stress you out, and that's not good for you.
Yeah. Joseph, anything last for you?
Just want to underline what Dallin was saying is that, our economy, religion, politics, it's all geared to pander to ignorance. So, take it all in with a dose of skepticism.
Yeah.
If you're on quarantine, honor that quarantine. Don't break it.
Well, yeah. I was going to say, I'm sorry. I'm really confused because you had the indicator that you were muted, but you were talking just a couple of moments ago. Very confused with what's going on with Discord right now.
What? Who? What? Me?
Yes, you. For whatever reason, Discord said you were still muted, but you were talking, and it was just, kind of blew me away a little bit.
Okay, yeah, you.
Yeah, it was really screwy. I don't know.
Okay.
Tech.
It's time today.
No worries.
Well, first, down. I wasn't trying to be flippant. I was saying it ironically, because all the stupid shit that's going down here with our various government, political entities, and religious entities, there's going to be a lot of people who really, they're going to end up, just because of who they're, of the BS that they're getting, is going to need all the luck they can get. I do. Except for Pence and Trump, for anybody that contracts this thing, I really do wish you the best of luck. Definitely call your physicians. Follow the appropriate guidance. Washing your hands, avoiding crowds, covering up your mouth and nose, coughing, the whole 9 yards. Because you never know if that nice young person next to you has a compromised immune system. You never know if that nice young person that's standing or sitting next to you has to go home at the end of the day to their parent or parents or grandparents. And you don't know what age group they fall into, or whether they have compromised immune systems, or whether they just end up being carriers but interact with other people with compromised immune systems. I have a lot of members of my family who have compromised immune systems. I'm lucky. I'm not one. My son's not one. But there's a lot more of us that are than aren't. I really don't want to be the person who brings it home and gets a family member killed, because then I've got to live with that.
Fair enough. Let me make this short, because I'm starting to realize I've got a lot that I'm gonna have to do, and I'm starting to get a little weird in the head right now, and that's not a good place for me. No, it's got nothing to do with the Canadian. I've had like 4 sips off of that. Really, just no, just not worth it. There is a lot of fear right now because of lack of direction and lack of information and conflicting information. There's a lot of uncertainty because there is a lack of direction and there's conflicting information and a lack of information and questions about who should be trusted to get information from. There is doubt for exactly the same reasons all over again. We're not going to have all the answers, not by a long shot. That's not our job. We're here to kind of talk through the stuff that you would otherwise be kind of wondering about and question the stuff that you otherwise might not have thought about because, well, shit, that's what we signed up for. Not to answer everything, but to do our damnedest to get everybody pointed in the right directions at least. I don't know who's going to have the silver bullet for this thing. I don't know that there's going to be one. I don't know that there could be one. I don't know that there can't be. But it's going to be one of those things that's going to take a very, very big effort and a lot of patience on a lot of folks. And one of the biggest things that's going to be a problem is the social part.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to keep being here. We're going to keep doing our best because we are fortunately in a situation where we can. We're here for you. Not just for each other. We're here for you. And we're going to keep doing that. We're not going to be touchy-feely. It's impossible to do. But if you need somebody, if you need to reach out to say, hey, I just need to talk with some folks. Can't promise to be here 24/7. But, we'll do our damnedest. Find us over on Discord. Find us over on Facebook. Chat us up on YouTube. If you need, we'll do our best to try and be here for you. And like I said earlier, Dallin, Joey, and I are on Second Life. It's not the same thing as actually being with people, but if you need kind of a stopgap to be able to interact with folks, we'll be more than happy to welcome you over and give you some pointers and get you started so that at least you've got some idea, some way of talking with folks. There's a thing that says if you can't manufacture your own serotonin, there's nothing wrong with getting store-bought. There's nothing wrong with being alone. There's nothing wrong with being lonely. We can try our best to kind of help mitigate that. It's not going to be the same thing, but we'll do our best for you. In the meantime, do your best. Be mindful that what we're doing with isolating ourselves right now is the best thing that we can do for the equivalent of herd immunity. Because that's the best that we've got. Good luck. We want to have you back for next week. Because since I can't go to Toronto, I'll be back here again next week. And nobody is happier about that than Dallin right now, because that means that he doesn't have to figure out what in the hell to put together for a show. We've talked about that. It's true.
Yes. I mean, I got nothing. I don't have a problem. Typically, it's just,
Not your bag.
Well, this is your show.
Yeah, it is.
It's got you provide a particular sort of rhythm and flow to it that I have tried. And yes, we still get a bit of an audience, but it's not you. That's the thing.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't think I do anything necessarily special, but
it just has a different feel to it when you're here versus when you're not.
So help me if anybody says it's got that warm, squishy feeling. So help me. I'm good. We need.
Well, I think Brigid doesn't like it when I host. She's usually the only other one here, and I have to try to make her talk more.
But I usually do talk more.
You do. We have some pretty good conversations.
I step up when I need to.
And I step off.
Oh God.
I can't believe I'm about to do this. If we get demonetized for this one, I don't care. The Humpty Dance, the dance.
your
Let's just a chance.
I'm
Yeah,
never.
okay.
I'm never, I'm
just
not
to
doing-
just
I'm
to
not doing
disavow
that.
everybody of
I'm not
the
doing
truth,
that.
we don't have nearly enough followers to even be considered for monetization.
Well,
No,
Not even on a good day, dude.
Well, we did break
If we
100.
were monetized, this episode would be demonetized because YouTube is demonetizing anything it has to do with COVID-19.
Yeah, actually, and you know what? I was watching a video earlier today, and they came up with they came up with an interesting name for the virus, and it's terrible because of all that it brings in. But they called it the beer bug.
Well, I've heard it called the Happy Fiesta Party Time and the Honey Badger virus.
Honey Badger don't give a shit.
Right.
I've also heard
But this
another one.
virus apparently does give a shit because it tends to only be, it tends to be more fatalistic to the older crowd than the younger generations.
But
Not
it also
counting for
escapes.
compromised immune systems and all that other shit.
Yeah, and I've also saw another one that said it's also called Boomer Cleaner. We need to go.
Oh
Yes.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Joseph, thank you very
Damn.
kindly.
Boo.
You have yourself a good morning, and it's good to have you back. Missed you.
Hey, no, thanks, and the same to you, sir. And take care out there,
Yeah, you too.
or take care in there, if you're confining yourself.
Well, I'm kind of just inside of this little box right here. So
If you're going to stay at home because of what's going on, kind of stupid to say take care of.
this would be a hell of a lot easier if it was a winter weather advisory and blizzard conditions, but that's a whole other thing for later.
And
It's-
the transport.
It's Buffalo. It could still happen. It could still happen.
I unfortunately still have to go to work because management can telecommute, but we cannot, which I think is bullshit.
It probably is. What we'll do with that. Speaking of bullshit, Tech, thank you very kindly. You have yourself a good morning.
Ow.
just
See,
feeling the
there's-
love here, man.
again, it's that warm, squishy feeling right there, right down in your toes, right?
At least you didn't say moist.
Hey,
Like you
Juju.
did.
Oh, wait.
I
You've
love
been
you too.
moisted.
So frigid.
Yes.
Speaking of fuck you, Mike Pence.
Oh, and Donald Trump. Fuck both of them. If it,
But
this is
not if
horrible.
they're contagious.
No,
Well,
this is horrible of me to say, but if they both happen to come down with this, I would be like, oh, that's too bad. It's
I will
horrible.
not. I will not cry a tear for either of those assholes.
Nope.
so
Well,
you wanna fuck them both. So what? They both make you moist? Is that what you're trying to say? See, I got it. By the way, courtesy of Joking Luna on Tumblr. Yeah, shut up. Sister, where do bacteria write about their feelings? In a germinal.
Mm.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, you know what? I have to do this. Yeah, I have to end this show on a proper note, especially to get rid of the bad taste of that one out of our collective mouths. Just saw this on Facebook. You know what else takes 20 seconds to recite while hand washing? You're gonna love this one, Shujin. I come from the net, through systems, peoples, and cities to this place. Mainframe. My format,
Yep.
Guardian.
It's missing a line. And that was something that pissed me off when I saw it.
What?
I come from the net through systems, mainframe, my domain.
I don't remember that one.
Old school in the house.
I'll have to.
Or that might have been in the later episode.
Oh, that might have been the one when Megabyte took over.
Yeah.
That was after Bob got lost in the net.
My
Yeah.
domain. God, I miss
Yeah,
his
that-
voice. No, you're right. You're right. I did see that one too.
Yeah, but yeah, somebody posted this on Facebook. You know what? I'll share it for you. You get a kick out of this.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about trying to find that to put it up for everybody. Brigid, people can find you where?
They can look for me on Facebook, Brigid Fitch. It's BRIGID FITCH. Or they can find me at my blog at brigidfitch2112.wordpress.com.
Thank you very kindly.
Unfortunately, Beyond the Trailer Park is on hiatus for however long, I don't know.
That's okay. Trippin was saying, was that from Clippy? Are you perhaps meaning this? That's from the Joking Luna feed over on. Oh, that's a Celestia reaction because that's just the way that it is.
I had a one last minute thought where we're talking about price gouging and everything else.
No,
There are people taking advantage of that out there. So, check with your local cam girls and look for competitive pricing. Don't let them gouge you.
Joey, thank you for your time, man. You try to keep getting a little bit more rest in between emergency phone call outs.
Yeah, not gonna happen, but it's just the way the cookie crumbles,
Yeah, I know.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles. That's the way. I like it.
See, you say that's
Nobody understands that reference, do they?
No, I got.
I know
got
the
you.
song.
I got you.
No, he's talking about the voice acting.
Oh, no,
Yes.
I don't.
Yes, my glasses are not nearly as big as. Yeah, I don't have the same gravitas as he.
Basically, the point that I'm getting at is, smite me, almighty smiter!
I'll keep that one in mind.
Bruce Almighty.
Yeah, I got you. Got you. Filmed here
No,
in
for
Buffalo.
those playing at home.
That's okay. It's okay. Dallin, what more can I say other than I'm sorry I've put you through so much pain this time.
It happens.
But thank you for
But,
putting up with it.
Yeah, no problem. Of course, I got to get back on my duties as curator of the audio version of this show over at holycrapthevlogcast.com. And for any kind of random streams of consciousness that I feel like spitting out, you can catch that over at inthewind.yo5.ca.
Did you want to perhaps make a humble brag about the thing that you had been working on at all?
Yeah, actually, I just finished running that through another big spell / grammar checker, and if the pipes hold, I'll be recording the revised edition of Outcast and hopefully getting it off to the publishers soon, and possibly even in podcast format. We shall see.
Congratulations ahead of time.
Let's get it done first.
Yeah, fair enough. So, as I was saying, we will be here for you guys. Just trust us to do our best to be here for you. Of course, all of our information for contact and subscriptions are over at holycrapthevlogcast.com. If you'd like to drop us a couple of dollars, feel free. Just not a couple of drachmas. We really don't want those anymore. At patreon.com/HCTV. Thank you. You got that one. And of course, the phone number if you'd like to try to leave us a message that doesn't involve, hey, fuck you. Yeah, thank you. 859-HCTV.
Did we get another one?
554. No, we've still got just that one. I'm not getting rid of it.
Okay.
859.
Yeah, go ahead.
859-HCTV 554. 859-4288-554. And yeah, really quickly, what was it?
I was going to say, I'm kind of grading the show. By the more fuck yous that we get, the better off, the more we're improving.
No, we've only got the one.
That's just a joke.
That's okay. I mean, it's all good. So all of you guys that have been with us tonight over in the live chat, thank you very much. Trippin, Stephanie, Beth was here. She's probably passed out. I would bet.
Yep.
And I'm
Bet
not.
on Beth.
I'm not a betting man. We will be here for you. I don't think that I can stress that enough. I know I said it for my closing, but seriously, people, we know it's going to be really tough. The social aspect is going to be one of the hardest pieces. We know that. We're going to do our best to be here for you.
Well,
It's
if
like-
you find me on Facebook and you need to Facebook call me, feel free. I will talk to you.
I have listed at the bottom of the show notes. It is okay to feel lonely. Don't ever think that you're alone. And I don't think that I could mean it any more than I do tonight. We'll be here. So, join us again next time. We will hopefully come up with something that maybe we'll see about something a little bit more comedic. I've got an idea as to somebody that I would like to have on the show. Again, believe it or not. For reasons that are both personal and for good reason, but I'll tell you guys about that later. I'll tell the guys off the air when we get done. But otherwise, until the next time we get together, everyone, be safe. As always, I wish you all the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. My lady, 14 and a half years on, I am still in love. Mwah. Matane Fujin. I love you. I miss you. Dream of me. Till the next time we get together, everyone, as always, good night.